the internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVMTV.
So much more than entertainment.
Need to estimate your duty? Perform a track and trace? Search for a declaration?
Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 p.m.
For joining us for CVM News at Noon. It's Friday, January 23, 2026. I'm Amoy Harriet. We begin with a developing story. The Trinidad and Tobago-owned Caribbean Airlines has reportedly been evicted from its headquarters in Leechin, Jamaica. Now, well-placed sources indicate the company has been given until the end of January to vacate the property located at 128 Old Hope Road. CVM News understands the regional airlines had not been fulfilling its rental obligations. Now, it's unclear where the company's Jamaica headquarters will be relocated to. Now, business mogul Michael Leechin is set to honor the U.S. $94 million payment to bondholders today, Friday, January 23. CVM News has seen a copy of the check addressed to the JCSD Trustee Services Limited. It was signed January 22, 2026, with a total of U.S. $94,091,461. The payment comes ahead of the extended January 26, 2026 deadline. The U.S. $94 million covers AIC's current outstanding bond obligations in accordance with the agreement reached with bondholders. Mr. Leechin, who is head of the NCB Financial Group, had indicated earlier in January that about US $75 million covers the first principal repayment and US $19.09 million covers interest. Bondholders had demanded roughly a third of the US $300 million in total bond payments outstanding. Business operators in Negril, Westmoreland are calling on the members of Parliament for Western Hanover and Western Westmoreland to come together and work as a team in order to boost the tourism sector in Negril. Carla MD reports.
Tourism stakeholders in Negril are urging members of Parliament for Western Westmoreland and Western Hanover to work together to advance development in the resort town. Chairman of Tourism Destination Council is Richard Wallace.
If we have two MPs lobbying for Negril, I'm sure working together, coordinating together, but two MPs lobbying for Negril, I believe we should get better results in terms of growth and development for the area instead of one, right? So what I would love to see is that both MPs from Western Westmoreland and Western Hanover work together.
Wallace explains that Negril is represented by the Member of Parliament for Western Westmoreland, but notes the town sits between two parishes, Westmoreland and Hanover, adding the majority of hotel rooms are located in Hanover.
However, traditionally, Negril is thought of as being in Westmoreland. I guess mainly because the town centre is in Westmoreland and the post office and so forth is in the Westmoreland side. And because of that, I think it is usually the Western Westmoreland MP that represents Negril most times.
Wallace explains a coordinated approach between both members of Parliament is critical to ensuring sustainable growth and long-term development for Negril as a premier tourism destination.
Negril is very unique, and Negril is a prime asset for not just for this area economically, but for Jamaica as a whole. We are the third largest tourism resort in Jamaica, and so We need, it has been said over the years that Negril has been neglected in a lot of ways, and that more could have been done or should have been done for Negril because we are earning so much, which I believe is near 30% of the tourism revenue for the island.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Now we'll hear more from Mr. Wallace on this matter later on in our live interview in the newscast. Still in the West, in the meantime, newly installed president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Damian Salmon, says Negril is now in the process of bouncing back from the effects of Hurricane Melissa. But he concedes there remains a number of issues faced by the industry. Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Floyd Green says several short-term vegetable crops are now available in large quantities, specifically in parishes devastated by Melissa, including St. Elizabeth, St. Anne, Westmoreland, Manchester, Clarendon and St. Thomas. Minister Green pointed out, however, that in some areas the excess production is due to a downturn in demand. He says current uptake levels for crops produced primarily for the hotel and hospitality sector remain uneven as the sector continues its own recovery following Hurricane Melissa. Now, he was speaking at a press briefing held at the ministry's headquarters in Hope Gardens recently. To other news now, spokesman on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, is calling for Fitzgerald Mitchell to step down as Chief Executive Officer of the University Hospital of the West Indies. The demand follows a damning Auditor General report which found serious breaches of procurement practices at the hospital. Speaking on CVM's lead story on Thursday, Dr. Dawes said the CEO must be held accountable for the failures. He added that while the hospital board has promised corrective measures, the public deserves to see immediate action.
I believe that the CEO of the hospital ought to resign rather than just go on vacation leave, because this happened under his watch. And if you wanted to take it a step further, the board has some amount of responsibility to shoulder, because that board was the one that was appointed after the previous board was dissolved after they tried to institute some reforms. And then that board presided over the period over which these instances of outright fraud, lapses in oversight and mismanagement occurred. So I think the decent thing to do is for the board to allow new people to come on to try and see if they can salvage the reputation of this institution.
Now, Technology Minister Andrew Wheatley has warned that individuals utilizing AI for malicious purposes may face prosecution under Jamaica's Cybercrimes Act. His comments follow a growing international trend to regulate or prohibit AI tools due to heightened concerns regarding the safety of women and children. Now, privacy practitioner and attorney at law Chukwemeka Cameron says Jamaica's existing legal framework captures AI-generated sexual abuse while also exposing criminals to civil implications.
Under the Data Protection Act, you are equally exposed to criminal prosecution for publishing someone's image in that manner, because you are using someone's image without their authorization that does amount to personal data and causing real harm. And then on the civil side, you are also exposed to defamation.
Now, motorists in St. Catherine with outstanding traffic tickets are being urged to sign up for the Court Administration Division's Traffic Ticket Day on March 4. The court says the initiative is aimed at clearing a massive backlog of cases in the court system, most of them traffic tickets. Now, Traffic Ticket Day will allow motorists to come to court and have their ticket matters heard and resolved on the same day. Director of Client Services, Communications and Information at the CAD, Kadish Jarrett Fletcher, says St. Catherine is just at the start, as the initiative will be rolled out in other parishes in the coming months.
So one, they can go to the St. Catherine Parish Court and use the help desk that is there. They can use the WhatsApp hotline, which is 876-453-5060. That's 876-453-5060. Or they can email traffictickets@jamaicajudiciary.gov.jm. And what we're asking them to do is to send us a copy of the ticket and to send us a telephone number. That's all we need them to do. Send us a copy of the outstanding ticket, send us a telephone number. We will respond to them once we have listed them for court.
And it's time now for a break, but stay with us. Our live interview comes up next.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received by the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices, or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority. Employers, once a month, you have the power to shape Jamaica's future. By paying your hard 3% contribution, you're not just contributing, you're investing in people, in skills, in our economy. Your hard contribution trains working-age Jamaicans, aligns programs with workforce needs, and secures our future. That's not just contribution, it's transformation. Contribute to heart and to your future.
Welcome back to CVM News at Noon. Now, as we shared earlier in the newscast, tourism stakeholders in Negril are pushing for a more coordinated approach to development, calling on the members of parliament for Western Westmoreland and Western Hanover to work together. Joining us now is Richard Wallace, who's the chairman of the Negril Destination Assurance Council, to talk to us about how this type of collaboration will aid in Negril's sustainable growth and long-term success. Good afternoon, Mr. Wallace.
Good afternoon.
Thanks so much for being here. Now, firstly, how is tourism in Negril since Melissa?
So, as understandable, right after Melissa, for the whole, tourism took a big blow. We pretty much lost the entire month of November. Things started picking up back in December. We had a great Christmas, New Year's. Most hotels are full. However, right after the January, the first week of January, things plummeted a bit. But now things are getting back, and it's not bad now. And we're looking forward to a very good February. The bookings are looking great, and we expect February to be a very good month for everybody.
So we've heard a lot from the government about what's being done for tourism workers. Based on what you know, are the workers in Negril actually signing up for the various programs to get this help?
So what I know is that hasn't kicked in yet. That's what I heard at the last meeting. And people have signed up and are waiting. I guess, you know how government works. It takes a time. Mm-hmm. However, what I know happened is that most employers, did what they had to do to take care of their workers. I know several other hotels, jumped in and helped and had programs themselves to help their workers. So most of the workers, we're back up and running, and everybody's back at work except for the hotels that are closed, obviously. But the ones that are open, smaller properties and small businesses, and so, a lot of the people are up and about.
So what does a coordinated approach between both members of parliament actually look like in practice? Because residents and stakeholders in the sector are calling for this collaboration. Where should that begin?
So Negril needs a lot. Negril is needs a lot of upgrade and development. It's a travesty that we have this gem, this potential, and we're not utilizing it, properly. And this has been going on over both administrations. It's not I'm not blaming any one government over the other. It's been a long-term thing from way back, where Negril is not reaching its true potential. We're at the third largest now. We are earning about 28 to 30% of the revenue, but we can do much better than that. And it showed in Melissa, because Negril was the first resort to be back up and running, and Negril was used as the front of the recovery marketing that was put out by the Ministry of Tourism. However, Negril needs a lot. I mean, Negril, right now we have potholes on the road, the main road between here and Montego Bay, that we've been appealing to NWA to try and get those sorted out. We need upgrading our sewage system. Well, our water supply is doing very well now, and there is still more to come. We can't complain about water anymore, so we need to thank the government for that. And there are other things. The town center, the general appearance of the resort, needs to be looked at. Lighting and security and all that. And I believe Negril, we can do better for Jamaica. We can earn more money for the country if some attention is paid here, and that's what we're calling for. And you ask different people, why has Negril been neglected, and you get different answers. But what I am suggesting is that one of the issues, as you know, as I said in the interview earlier, that Negril straddles two parishes, and if we have two people lobbying for Negril instead of one, we should get better results.
So what risk would you say Negril face if development continues without a unified strategy between both parishes?
It's that it will take much longer than it should, and obviously it shows that very little happens here. But I'm sure, we do have some projects, and listen, I don't want to offend anybody or because yes, there are a few projects that are in progress right now. The roundabout is ongoing. The upgrading of the roundabout. The DAC, we are installing bus stops, and so. But the big picture of Negril, the town center, the beach park, the highway from Montego Bay to Negril, that is something that can change the whole Western Jamaica. If there is a highway, right now it takes on a good day an hour and a half from Mobay to Negril. If we were to get a direct highway, not bypasses now, a highway that can reduce the drive time to 35 minutes, which is what we calculate it would take if there's a highway. Negril would be flooded with not just people from the hotels living in Negril, in Montego Bay, as far as Trelawney, as far as Ocho Rios, but the two cruise ship ports. Negril will now be a hub. Negril has the best beach in Jamaica. And all these thousands and thousands of people that come and stay in hotels in Montego Bay and Trelawney, and also arrive on cruise ships, if they know that the best beach one of the best beaches in the Caribbean, in the world arguably, is 35 minutes away, Negril will be flooded. And that's how locals will benefit more, because these people are coming on the beach. They're going to be interacting with locals more than if they stay inside an all-inclusive.
So
and that's why that I've been lobbying for. And yes, the government has acknowledged it. All these things that we have lobbied for, the government has acknowledged. And they have agreed that, yes, we need these things, but they are very, very slow in coming. And I believe lobbying and pushing it, keeping it on the front burner, nagging, because if you want to get things done, you have to be there, you have to be pushing for it. And I believe if we have two MPs doing that instead of one, which I think is happening now, then we should get better results.
So you think this slow movement that we're seeing is part of the reason why there are still some stakeholders in the tourism sector in Negril specifically who haven't fully recovered from Melissa?
Well, these things that I'm talking about were pre-Melissa. they're not, post Melissa. So, but they're still wanting now. And I don't know, some of the folks that may be complaining, I don't know if it's government related or if it's personal to that property or these individuals, because all of us have different circumstances, as you imagine. So some of us were more damaged than others, some, so I think it's a matter of looking at individual properties and seeing what is the issue with those if they have not recovered yet. And